This video will show you the basics you'll need to navigate through the Rescue Hub system and log your training. We're going to focus on the things that you'll need to know as a firefighter, EMT, paramedic, or company officer. Rescue Hub keeps track of two different kinds of training. In Rescue Hub terminology, we're going to call these tasks and events. The first thing that we're going to talk about is events. An event is a training that's scheduled to occur at a very specific day, time, and location. As an example, some of your training might be scheduled to occur on Tuesday, 3 p.m. at Station 3. Your crew might be pulled out of service to attend in-person training at a specific location. Another example is for volunteer departments, your calendar might have all of your drill nights shown on the calendar. Rescue Hub uses an event to track both of these kinds of training. The first thing that you're going to see as soon as you log into Rescue Hub is the calendar. Your training officer will likely be using this to post the training schedule, but there might be other things on the calendar that are not training, and they might be using this for some other purpose as well. You can click on any of the entries in the calendar to find more information about what's going on a particular day and time. As a company officer, you might be asked to record attendance on behalf of your crew for the training that's on the calendar. In other cases, a training officer might ask that the instructor is responsible for recording attendance for this training, and COs might not have to do anything at all. So it's really dependent on how your department is using Rescue Hub. If you're a company officer and you need to record your crew's attendance at scheduled training, the first thing that you'll do is you'll find the event on the calendar. Just click on the event, then click Roster My Crew. In the box, type the names of the people who attended. If you are also present at this training, which you probably are, don't forget to type your own name. Click Save, and the attendance has now been recorded. You can also go back later and add more names if you need to. For example, someone shows up late. You can go back, click Roster My Crew again, and add another name to the list. So that's how you would record attendance at an event. The second kind of training that we're going to talk about is a task. In Rescue Hub, a task is an assigned training activity that should be completed by a certain date. Typically, tasks just have a due date, and you're responsible for completing the training, but it's up to you as to when you actually do it. Your training officer isn't scheduling this to occur at a specific time. The two most common kinds of training that are used as a task are company-level training, as well as EMS training that might have an online component to it as well. Company-level training is often assigned to be completed at the discretion of the company officer. Doesn't matter when it gets done, as long as it gets completed by the end of the quarter or the end of the year. EMS training is often done in the same way. You might have some online training content to complete and an in-person skills evaluation. To get a big picture of all of your assigned training, you're going to want to use the My Assigned Training page. This is your one-stop shop to see exactly what training has been assigned to you and whether you've completed it or not. At the top of the page, you'll see any upcoming training that you've been invited to attend. These are events that are scheduled for a specific day and time. On the right, you'll see a list of tasks that have been assigned to you but are incomplete. If you scroll down, you'll see a list of training requirements that have been assigned to you. A requirement in Rescue Hub is anything that your training officer requires of you. It might be a department requirement, an NFPA standard, a county or city EMS requirement, or just about anything else. Requirements are met by either attending an event or completing a task. Each requirement will either have a red X or a green check mark next to it. Requirements with a red X are requirements that have not been completed yet. If you see a green check mark, this means that this requirement's been met. Once all of your training requirements have a green check mark next to them, then you're good to go. Each requirement will show the related tasks and events next to it. For scheduled training, you might see a list of events that will meet this requirement. For company-level training or EMS training, you'll see a task in the column over here. If you've attended an event that relates to that requirement, then you should see a green check mark next to the requirement. For each requirement, you'll likely see a task or an event listed next to it. The events are shown on the left, and the tasks are going to be shown on the right. Once you have attended an event or completed a task, this requirement will show up as being complete. As a company officer, the easiest way to mark a task as complete is to click Roster My Crew. If you're completing a task for you and your crew, you'll always use the Roster My Crew button next to the name of the requirement. This will let you enter the names of the people who completed this training, and you'll be able to enter this on their behalf. If you're a firefighter, EMT, or paramedic, you might not see the Roster My Crew button. However, you still may have tasks that you can check off yourself. If you look at the top of the page, you'll see a list of tasks that have not been completed. Most tasks are what we would call self-certified tasks. Once you've completed one of these kind of tasks, you're just going to check a box that says I did this, and that's how it's going to be recorded in Rescue Hub. To complete this task, you'll read through the instructions provided by the training officer. You'll be performing some kind of training on a particular topic, watching a video, or reading over some training content, or doing something hands-on with your crew. When you've completed this task, you'll go down to the bottom, check the box that says I did this, and click Submit. This will record that you completed the task today. If you need to record that you completed the task on a different day, just check the box over here and choose a different date. Some tasks might have a quiz associated with them. If they do, there will often be training material that you will need to review before you take the quiz. Each one might be different, so be sure to read over the instructions before taking the quiz. Tasks with a quiz will have a button that you can use to start the quiz. Just click the button and take the quiz. Once you're done, as long as your score is high enough, this task will be marked as complete. The last kind of training that we'll talk about is training that isn't assigned at all. If it's not on the calendar and you don't see it on the My Assigned Training page, then you may be adding what we would call a company event. An example of this would be a crew going out and spending an hour training on ground ladders. This might be something that the CO wanted to do that day, but it wasn't specifically assigned by a training officer. If you're doing something that's above and beyond what your training officer is requiring of you, then you'll likely be entering this as a company event. To add a new company event, click the Home button to navigate to the calendar. Click New Company Event, and enter the details of what you did. Then click Create. So here's a quick recap of what we talked about. The My Assigned Training page is really your one-stop shop for checking the status of training that's been assigned to you. You're going to see a red X for training requirements that you haven't completed yet, and a green check mark for requirements that are complete. As a CO, you'll use the Roster My Crew button to record attendance for you and your crew. Just click Roster My Crew, enter the names, and hit the button. Training that's been assigned to you individually as a task can also be accessed from the My Assigned Training page. Once you've completed a particular task, just click the name of the task, check the box, and click Submit. If you have any questions about the training that's been assigned to you, your best option is to reach out to your company officer or training officer. For questions about how to enter training, feel free to reach out to us here at Rescue Hub. Just click the question mark, choose Ask a Question, and type your question into the box. We'll get back to you just as soon as we can.